challenge is adding
Sorry.
the adding the fruit, the vegetable, the grams of vegetables. I put that on the back burner because I was still trying to work through getting my protein and my water in.
Hmm.
I and after having my chat with you on Thursday,
Hmm.
letting go of that, having to control that, made it a lot easier to increase it, even though it wasn't meeting the challenge. It was still increasing it. So that's what was helpful because one of the things I learned is no matter what, the protein needs to happen.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's where I like having the challenges, but I had to let go of trying to meet them because then I was failing and then felt
Okay.
failing instead of saying, okay, it's there, but the protein and the water were the priority for me.
Okay. Okay, good. Um, so I want to, so yes, I know Laura, you and I had spoken about how to kind of get your protein in, right? And so you were
Mhm.
like, okay, I'd never thought about just like pre-logging your protein for the day, right? And then kind
Mhm.
of building
Right.
your food from there. And so yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think that's really pivotal and really important for people to understand. And just like when I meal prep or when I meal plan for my family, I go through and I'm like, okay, we're gonna have chicken this day. We'll have two chickens and then a beef and then like a chicken, and then they're gonna kill me again if I have, if we have chicken again. So like gotta throw something else in there. So I always like that's how I start my meal plan for the week. And then I build with like recipes that I have or whatever. And so I always start whenever you're building your plate or your the food that you're eating, I always like to think of consider protein first and then build from there. So our conversation, I think went really well in that, you really started to understand like how that works in a day-to-day basis. And so very proud of you for that. And I do want to touch on something because several people have kind of alluded to, or we've had conversations about like, oh, I'm failing at something. And I want you guys to understand that just because you don't hit 100% doesn't mean you're failing. And so if that means we're trying to hit these challenges, right? They're habits. They're good habits that you're layering on, right? Because it's not like, okay, we hit water and protein this week and then we're going to dump those and then we're just going to do produce this week. Like, no, that's not how fitness and nutrition is, because these are all healthy habits that you need to incorporate and layer on, is what we're doing. We're just layering things on to build the habits. But going back to failing, if a lot of times people just slip into an all or nothing mindset, and I understand that. But if we were to, I mean, even if you were looking at like grades or something, if somebody, if we're working towards getting better, then that's fine. If you had the goal of getting to the gym 5 days this week, just because you made it to three doesn't mean you didn't succeed. Okay. We may have not hit our goal, but we're still making progress. We're still making better choices. We're still accomplishing things. And so just like when you're looking on a grading scale, my goal, if 100% for me was to go, 5 days that week, and then I fell off and skipped 2 days for whatever reason, life, or I was exhausted and I needed a rest day, or I just chose not to because that's okay too. But if that happened and I was, say, at like 70% of my goal, does that mean I failed? No, because failure is 100% of doing nothing. Like I've still have done 70% better than I would have had I not shown up. So I really want you guys to switch how you think about this stuff because it's not all or nothing. And I know that the majority of people feel like it is. Does that make sense to everyone? If it makes sense, just put like a yes in the chat or something. I need a little bit of engagement from you guys. Thank you for participating. Um, Okay, good. Does that help kind of relieve it a little bit as well? Because I mean, I know that, we're like, okay, like I know that these challenges, they're just being layered on. But just because, like, I hope you guys realize, like, I don't eat my body weight in protein every day. Like, sometimes I drink barely any water. Sometimes a vegetable doesn't even go in my mouth for a day. Okay. But that doesn't mean that, like, I've undone a ton of, like, my progress or, like, I'm a dirtbag because I didn't hit those goals. Right. And so, like, we're all human. And so, as long as we're working towards something better, we're making progress in some way. It doesn't have to be astronomical. I think that diet culture and society makes us feel like it has to be this massive thing. It's all or nothing. It's like if I'm not losing a pound a week, then I'm just like a like what's the point of it all, and that's not the way it is. It's just it's trying to find those little ways to make yourself, what is it, 1% better each day. And maybe it's 1% better each day, and then maybe some days it's just like we're surviving, and I get that. And then some days maybe it's amazing and we're like knock it out of the park. So I want you guys to wrap your head around that too. um Questions before yeah, anyone else? Oops, someone else is hanging out in the waiting room. Another question from anybody? Not yet. Okay. Okay. All right. So, on the 600 to 800 grams, I know that was probably a little bit much for some people, which I can understand, right? And so, especially if we're going from, I mean, it's always going to be better to have, well, it's always going to be best to have single ingredient whole foods. Okay. Single ingredient meaning like I don't even eat like this all the time, but like a sweet potato, broccoli, and a steak, right? That's obviously we all have common sense. We all know that's a fantastic way to eat. Um, it's going to be the best way to eat, just eating like not processed foods at all. Um, that's what Michelle had for lunch. Good. But it's not really practical for a lot of people or we're on the go. Like I don't keep a steak in my car as I'm like driving all over for the day, right? And so maybe we do hit drive-throughs or whatever. But back to the produce, it's a lot. If you're going from the processed food is it's calorically dense, but there's not a lot of nutrients in it. So, but it's easy, right? It takes effort to prep fresh foods. And so typically, people struggle with protein the most, and I swear I'll get back to produce, but we struggle with produce the most because it's unprocessed, right? It's like raw meat. You've got to do something with it. And so that's why it takes the most effort and the most time. And so that's why when I know that people are hitting their protein goals, they are really, really trying because you don't like, if we're in a bind, we're going to just grab something that's packaged. I do too. So, but if we take the time and if we put in the effort and we prep something, meaning have we prepped, some sort of meat or whatever, then that little bit of prep goes a long way. And so this goes back to, well, I'm like, what? I'm looking at my notes. Back to produce, a little bit of prep there as well goes a long way. And so whether that's like you're roasting veggies or you're steaming them or whatever, or if you like raw can sometimes be kind of rough on the gut. I know a couple of you guys did eat too many cruciferous vegetables like cabbage, coleslaw, what else, like broccoli and cauliflower, and I know a few of you guys had some gut issues. So yeah, I learned that the hard way one time as well. So but if you look at produce, if you're struggling to get in those grams, vegetables tend to just weigh less than fruits. And so that's where I will tell you if someone's really struggling and I'm like, well, look at like a salad weighs hardly anything, but we've got like an orange or an apple over here, those are filled like watermelon, it's filled with water. And so if you're struggling to hit those numbers, those grams, pick up a piece of fruit. I will tell you guys, I always say this that no person, no American, anyone on the earth, did they ever become overweight overeating fruits and vegetables. Okay. So I don't want you guys to be concerned with the sugars that are in the fruits. Okay. So I know a lot of people are like, I can't have bananas, or I only eat berries. And it's kind of like, I don't want you guys to stress out. I want you guys to know that you guys can eat um fruits. Does that like give anyone like a sigh of relief there that we're okay to eat fruits because they're actually very nutrient dense, lots of micronutrients, lots of fiber, lots of hydration, you got water in there, and they just taste good. So yeah. Daniel says frozen mango from Costco is great. Yeah. Um good. I'm glad you guys are upping your fruit. And yeah, because I mean, and even, if I eat like, I mean, I can eat like this massive plate of broccoli and it volume wise makes me full, but it doesn't check off. It's not very heavy, you know what I mean? So I could eat like plates and plates of broccoli and have massive amounts of gas and still not hit my goals for the day. And so don't feel bad eating the fruit, okay? I was going to say something else. I can't remember what it was. Oh, and also when you guys are on a cut, like I think that hopefully this also showed you what volume eating does, because a lot of times people will feel like not all of you guys are in a cut, but if we're in a cut and if we're trying to lean out and we're just trying to like back off of intake a little bit, then people feel like they have to be starving. If they're not miserable, they're not making progress. Like that's not the way this is. So your protein's going to fill you up, right? I think that a lot of you, once you finally got to like a reasonable amount of protein, or not a reasonable, but like a significant goal amount of protein, you guys found that you were full. And so you've got that on one side. And then if you just like, if you guys are cutting back, if you guys are used to eating such a little amount of food, and then all of a sudden we eat 600 to 800 grams of produce, you guys are like, I mean, so many of you are like, I'm stuffed. And so, but that's what volume eating does for us. And so instead of eating like granola bars and chips and crackers, right? Because those are, like I said, those are like a lot of calories for not very much food. So when you guys all added in all of this fresh produce, I think you guys all were full from your protein. And then all of a sudden you're like super full from your produce. Anybody experience that? If you did, put it in the chat. I want to see it. Hold on, I'm going to read through the chat really quick. Okay. And then Mary said, added 1 cup of vegetables to your breakfast and dinner this past week. Yeah, I was telling someone this week, I was, when I was in a cut before, I was eating like eggs and broccoli, not together, for breakfast, though. That was one of my meals because I was like eyeball deep in a pretty big cut. This was years ago. But it's funny because once I decided that that's what I was going to do, it actually didn't bother me at all. And I was fine with it. And so a lot of times what we tell ourselves, that mental aspect, absolutely influences our success. Because if we're constantly telling ourselves, we can't, or I'm going to slip up, or like, or I never make it, right? What we tell ourselves absolutely matters. And if you talk to yourself and you're like, no, I am going to succeed. No, I do have time to meal prep. No, I do have time to make this. Like, I'm not going to, all this positive talk, this self-talk absolutely influences us both ways, negative and positive. And one thing I do want to say that if you're a person who goes through the Starbucks drive-through often in the morning, you might as well just stay home and make breakfast because the time you're going to sit through in that drive-through, just make something at home because it's either the same amount of time or less time. And then you're just not tempted to grab like the sugary coffee and the pastry and, really the calories that don't serve us and don't support our goals. So, yeah. Okay, Lynette, I just added produce berries to at least 3 of your meals. Good. And 1 or 2 snacks with protein. Good. That's excellent, right? I mean, if we think about like, hopefully the plate kind of gave you guys a visual as to like 600 to 800 grams actually wasn't that much. And so, but yeah, when you guys just break it up here and there, and always swear by pre-logging because when you pre-log everything, and weigh things out, it helps tremendously. Because a little, like I said, I'll always say a little bit of prep sets you up for success. So yeah, I know Daniel loves that mango from Costco, which now I'm going to buy tomorrow when I go. Carrie, you've upped your fruit. Good. And Maria's in there. And then adding papaya and banana to my lunch protein shake for Mary. Good. Perfect. Okay. And then Carrie, cucumbers. Yes. Cucumbers, peppers, carrots are good snacks. I love those baby cucumbers at Costco because you just like pick them up and munch on them. Sometimes I put salt on them too. Berries and whipped cream is a delicious dessert. Absolutely. Totally. I agree with you there. I always eat, a lot of times for dessert, I'll have cottage cheese with some protein powder in it and then the frozen berries on top, but I let them defrost and then I don't, it's so good. And I don't feel like it fulfills that, um, the, gosh, what am I trying to say? The, dessert desire that I have or whatever. So anyway, so yeah, I definitely love that. And then, okay, so, and then Michelle, hard to get all the produce and the protein. Yeah, here's your full. But yes, it's good, clean food. And so that's where I really want you guys to understand that, like, you don't have to be in this like starvation mode state, right? Because if we can get past that, if we can actually nourish our bodies and take in enough calories, but it's still in a deficit, we can see the progress we want to make. But then, like, our hormones are balanced, we're recovering at night, we're sleeping well, we're not cranky and snapping at people, and all of that stuff matters. Our energy is up versus, just tanking our calories and wreaking havoc on the body. So I feel like a lot of you guys are experiencing that, which makes me happy. Okay, and yes, Lori, I know you love your cottage cheese and apple before your workout. So perfect. Okay, and if you guys have questions, just throw them in the chat and I will check on those. Okay, so We're actually going to, this is one of the things. I know I was going to keep you guys kind of like a running total for all 3 weeks for the challenge on your points, because I actually do have a spreadsheet and I go through and check everybody off every night or in the morning. So, that being said, though, well, one of you guys has won so far for points. But what I'm gonna do, we're gonna wash everybody clean. This last week, everybody has a clean slate, and that gives everybody a fresh opportunity to up your points. I'm gonna give another mini prize at the end of next week before we do the grand prize. So, that being said, well, he had one clear winner for the past 2 weeks of points, and that is Lynette. So, Lynette, I'm giving you a $20 gift card to Amazon. So, great job with all of your points. Very proud of you. Very, everybody, I mean, great job for those of you who are logging in your points and everything. I love the engagement, I love the participation, and I love the accountability. So, Lynette, I will email you that gift card. And so, again, so we're starting fresh. I know I love all the yays. Yay, good job. Wait, if I do this, I think AI will see it. I don't know. See, whenever I don't want it, how do I make balloons happen again? I don't even know. Anyways, so, Lynette, that you have that. So everybody is now clean slate. You're welcome. Clean slate for this next week. But what I'm going to do is we're actually going to not change, but up the points. So this next week, I'm going to challenge you guys for sure. So I should put this in the chat. So we're going to stick with our 4 points that we've already had, right? Water, protein, movement, and then the produce. Now we're going to kind of level this up. Okay. So again, we're layering. We are going to, guess I should type this all out in here. So you're going to have one for your water, one for your protein, one for movement. Okay, any type of movement. One for produce. Now we're going to have 2 points for 8 hours of sleep. Okay. So sleep is incredibly important for you guys. If we're not sleeping, we are not recovering. Um, Mary. Okay, so there's no, 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 you're not going to lose. Okay, so then now we have, what is that? We have four, six, that's 6 points. Okay, so here's what I mean by 8 hours of sleep. That doesn't mean you have to, like, I want you guys in bed. I want you guys, Carrie's, I've got this. I want you guys in bed. I want you guys off of screens. Okay, so this isn't watching TV. This isn't doom scrolling forever, because that stuff stimulates our nervous system. Okay, the blue light is one thing, and if you're going to tell me that, like, oh, I have blue light glasses, whatever, no, get off of it. Have a good sleep routine. I want you guys, off of your screens for hopefully an hour. That would be ideal if you can. Pick up a book, find something to just better yourself, right? I don't care what that is. Have a conversation with either your kids, your spouse, maybe a friend or whatever. Something, maybe do some breath work or something like that. Do something to intentionally wind yourself down. So 8 hours. So the way you're gonna have to do this is you're gonna have to back plan. So if you're getting up at 6 in the morning, then you're gonna go back 8 hours on that clock. And that tells you that you need to be in your bed, not necessarily lights out, but I want you in your bed resting at 10. Okay. And so for those of you who, there are some of you that get up really early. Okay. And so I get it. So maybe do the best you can. Maybe some days you make it, maybe some days you don't. I will say that if you can nap for some reason, I know some people can. I am not a napper. But if you can nap, that will count towards your 8 hours. Okay. So any questions on that? It's a good one. All right, boy, I love sleep, but pushing the 8 hours, yeah, but excited for this one for sure. And the point is to, to try something different, to try, to see how you respond, to see how you guys feel. How are you recovering, and how do you feel the next day? Are you finding that you don't have that like afternoon slump or whatever? Those are some things that we're really looking for in this point of the challenge. Okay. So there's that. Okay, I'm actually layering on another one. This is going to be the kicker. Okay, so this next one is worth 4 points. All right, and this is, any guesses? Actually, throw it in the chat. What are you guys guessing? I'm going to layer on one more. So this is going to give you guys a total of 10 points total every single day. So, what do you guys think that that might be? I got an ice bath. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I was doing those when my back was yeah, I see you, Mary. I know. Report hours regardless of time. As long as you're in bed, Lori, in bed working on trying to get to sleep, or if you're reading or whatever, that's gonna, count. So as long as you guys are just, doing something, as long as you aren't on a screen or whatever, okay? But you don't have to be lights out. Okay, so stretching, good. Meditate, good. Stretching. Oh, maybe I should do journaling. Good job, Carrie. Okay. Um, my shop, what do you mean keeps you honest? I don't know what that means. Lori, actually, your Whoop. That's what okay, your Whoop keeps you honest. Okay, those are great. Maybe I should have made it stretching, but actually it's going to be 10,000 steps worth 4 points. Okay. So I wrote down notes for this. I know that 10,000 steps seems like it's just like this arbitrary number that the fitness industry just kind of throws at everybody. But there's actually history, and it has to do, I've got to look it up. I should probably do a reel on this, but it has to do with like it started in Japan. And anyways, I forget what it was, but anyways, there's a reason for it. And part of the reason I know is for like the average human, which females are smaller and some guys are larger, but when you look at how many calories you can burn, it basically equates to like 1 pound a week for like an average person or whatever. Um, not everybody's going to just lose a pound a week because they walk 10,000 steps. So we've got all those other things. So 1 point for water, protein, movement, and produce. We've got 2 points for 8 hours in bed asleep. And then we've got 4 points for 10,000 steps a day. Okay. So for those of you that are like, oh my gosh, I'm just done, I'm throwing in the towel, don't throw in the towel because I'm going to break this down a little bit for you guys. So when you look at steps, so I actually am a total nerd and I would like, set my timer and, watch my steps and figure this all out. So walking, 1 mile is about 2,100 steps. Okay. 1 mile can take you, for me, it's about 17 minutes, right? I could walk faster, but I just don't want to. So 17 minutes equals 1 mile for me, 2,100 steps. Okay. 2 miles is about 35 minutes, something like that. So it carries me circling your house. um, but 2 miles is about 4,200 steps. Okay. So about 35 minutes. So what does that mean? It means basically 5 miles is over 10,000 steps. So what we can do, how do we break this down? Because all this stuff, right, it gets really overwhelming when you guys look at the big picture and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do all this stuff? But I want to congratulate all of you guys because you are layering, you're building skills, you guys are changing. That's fantastic. And so this is the same. So if I just tell you you have to walk 10,000 steps each day, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, forget it. I don't even know how to do it. But when we break it down a little bit, it makes sense. So if it's, if you are, so 4 miles is about 8,200 steps. So if you can get up a little bit early in the morning, right? Which usually that's where we can kind of like, make a little bit of headway and stuff. I like to work out early in the morning. I don't work out right now because of my back, but whatever. I just prefer morning. um, so if you can do 30 or so minutes in the morning, that is, it's like 4,000 plus steps. So, and then what if you can do like 1 mile on your lunch break? And then what if we can do some more plus all the other steps you guys get? So if you're going to the gym, if you guys are doing, CrossFit or something like that, or, going to a regular gym, you're getting steps there as well. So, that is going to be a way that you can break it down. So, a half an hour here, half an hour there, is really going to be the way that you guys are going to make some progress. Okay. If you don't have a watch or if you don't have anything like that, you just have to have your phone on you. So, I know in the iPhone, you go to the health app and then, I forget where it is, but you can look up your steps in there. So just keep your phone on you if you don't have a watch. And that's going to be a huge way where you guys can make progress and you guys can monitor it. Okay. Questions on the 10-point system? Anyone? So this is where, and Katie, I know at work you speed walk and you go up and down those ladders. I know. Yep. Yeah, I know you're always on your feet and moving. Um, so this will be a way. So if you guys, where I keep track of the points, I go through the chat every day, usually every evening, and I go through and I look. So you guys have to send your, the little check marks. And in the chat, I will give you an example of what it'll look like. Okay. And then you guys can even like each day I'm just gonna put it in there in the morning. So you guys can just like remember it, copy it if you need to, and whatever. So it's just gonna be all the different, options. And then yes, the new challenge. See, how do we do that? How do I do a thumbs up? I have no idea. Um, Yes, the new challenge starts tomorrow. So I keep track of that in you guys probably all know how the AI stuff happens. I don't know how it is. Anyways, um the new challenge starts tomorrow. So I track it in that in the spreadsheet that I have. And so whenever you guys, report stuff in, you go into the chat and you put in your check marks, then that's when I transfer it over into the spreadsheet. So really important for you guys, even if you haven't participated. The reason why I'm cutting it off for the last 2 weeks is because I want you guys to participate in this last week. And so if you guys haven't, jumped in yet, or if you haven't just like, put yourself out there or been accountable, this is your opportunity to do so. So I want you guys to lean into each other, lean into me, and really try, right? Because you guys can make a lot of progress, right? 10,000 steps. And also 10,000 steps, we don't get there on accident, okay? So like I can't really walk or move too much right now, and so I can only walk a half a mile at a time. And it's not very much, you know what I mean? So I mean, living if you're at a job, I'll answer that in a sec, Michelle. If you're at a job and you just don't move very much, there's less passive movement, like for those of you who have kids and you're up and you're moving all the time, it's going to be a little bit easier for that type of person versus someone who has a desk job, which is also the point, right? If we have a desk job, I need you to get up. I need you to move because what happens when you're sitting all the time, the front side of you, it contracts, right? All of these muscles and these ligaments kind of shorten, and then your backside elongates and it creates imbalances. And so a lot of times when we just don't like things are off. It's our job, whether we know it or not. Like it's right. It doesn't seem high risk to sit at a desk and type on a computer, but it does have consequences. And so you guys need to be getting up. If you don't have a desk, a stand-up desk, I would encourage you to get one. I am ordering one because I've spent the past year sitting at this desk and it's caused issues for me. Walking pads are fairly inexpensive if you could ever add that into your office space, so that would be a great thing as well. So Michelle, to go to your question on 10,000 steps plus movement, so yes, because I still want you guys that are moving and doing some sort of movement, I still want you rewarded. So yeah, there's still a point for movement, so none of that changes. So yeah, if you only get in um, whatever the workout is, or you could only, take your kid for a walk, or if you could only walk up and down your stairs today and you didn't get to 10,000, you still get a point. I still definitely think that's important. I want to reward you guys for that. So, but I will tell you 10 points is a lot. So there can be a lot of variance in there. So I definitely want you guys to try. See, because I think that like one day of someone not doing something and other people can overtake them. So be sure to get all those in. Questions, more questions, anything on the points, on anything. Let me see. You guys really have no questions or you don't want to ask. All right, throw them in there. I'm looking. Okay, so next Sunday, our challenge ends. That's May 4th. Okay. The day before Cinco de Mayo. I love tacos. I'm definitely eating tacos that day. So our challenge will end on Sunday. The scan, a couple people had asked me, when are the scans or the pictures due? So those are going to be due on I'm gonna say Sunday on Sunday, but and you guys should have that should work out just fine, right? I'm always like compassionate to when people can't get things done because work and life happens, or I'm empathetic, whatever. But you have the weekend. You should be able to get those things in, whether you're scanning and taking pictures on Friday or Saturday or Sunday. Just get those over to me. Um, we're going to have an end of challenge Zoom call, but I don't want to do it on Sunday because I'm going to have to review all this stuff. And also Sunday, you're going to be able to put in your last points as well. So make sure you do that. So I'm we're going to do that Zoom challenge, end of challenge call on Monday. And I guess we'll just do it at 5 again. Everybody seems to be able to make 5. So we'll do 5 o'clock on Monday. Okay. So that's where I'm going to announce the winner. Okay. And remember this, so if you guys don't remember, you guys, somebody's going to win $500. So, I 100%, suggest like putting in the time and the effort and hitting all these points and stuff. I'm judging this off of things like, your participation, the points that you guys have put in there. I'm judging it off of pictures if you submitted them. So, there's some things that you guys can do to really give yourself an upper edge. So please don't quit on me now. All right. Don't quit on me ever. Okay. But don't quit yet. So, but I will say that in order to win, you have to be present on that Zoom. So I really want everybody to log in and be on that Zoom. And actually, I might require you guys' faces to be on there because all I see are microphones and little camera icons. Um, so anyways, questions on that though. 500 bucks at stake. I'm literally giving someone $500. It could be you. Any questions? And then I will give out another prize for the week challenge. So also someone else can win that as well. Okay. Literally no questions. Anyone want to come off as mute and talk or say anything or ask anything? Yeah, Michelle's looking forward to the week. Good. I am too. Maria, do you have something to say?
Yeah,
Yay, hi.
thanks, Heather. Hi.
Yay.
Sorry.
Hi, hun.
I Hi. I just want to say, like your plan has helped, and I see like what I think I wasn't prepared. I think I really need that scale that we were talking about
Mhm.
because I hate to say I did it and then I don't know for sure, but I probably did, type of thing. So like,
Uh,
anyways, I just want to say thanks for the tips because those are all really good tips that like I may have done prior to the challenge here and there, but this really kind of keeps me accountable. It's an easy way to stay on track, even past the challenge. I think it got me going, like it got the wheels turning, and it got me to the point where I'm planning my grocery list, and like you were saying, like you can try plan ahead, like
mhm.
write it out ahead. And I'm using that app, that my fitness. Sorry, that escapes me now, but to
That's
track,
okay.
it's just the challenges. I could see it working for me
Good.
past the 3 week period, and I never really had a plan like that.
Okay.
So thank you. I'm so glad to participate because it just got me going. And it's
Good.
really things that doable, very doable. It's not like super, strict, you know.
Yes.
Anyway, so I just
Yeah.
want to say thank you.
Of course, you're welcome. I'm super, and that's the point, right? Is it's not just to do this for 3 weeks, it's to do this stuff for life. You know what I mean? But it feels overwhelming so many times. Like this stuff feels overwhelming. But if we just break it down into little chunks, then you're like, oh, I can do this and I can be successful. So good,
Yeah. Okay,
good.
thank
All
you.
right, proud of you. All right. Okay. And then, okay, Lori says, thank you so much for this information. Yeah, it will last beyond the challenge. Good. And I want you guys yeah, it just yeah, we'll talk a little bit more probably next week. I also want you guys to understand that like if like this doesn't you just don't have to stay on this, right? I mean, if you guys I always want people to create balance. And so if that means, you do, when we're too strict and we don't allow ourselves things we love, right? Like things that are good for our soul. Like I don't maybe that's going to be like a little bit of ice cream or a little bit of a treat or something. I want you guys to find balance in having those foods because I don't want you guys to feel like you can't ever have those, right? And so when this is why logging is such a good thing because when we log say I want, I don't know, whatever, a cookie or two. Well, if I put that in there and I know it fits, then it takes away any sort of power that food has over me, right? Because when I know that things that I've allotted for it or it's in that plan or whatever, then it takes away any kind of like scariness, okay, if I know that it fits. Also, we should be able to have those kind of foods that we love, when occasionally they can't be like we can't just like I mean, people usually get themselves to a point of being overweight.
by, drive-throughs and processed foods and indulging in things too much, right? So those can't have like a present everyday point in our life, but like once a week or something like that, like yes, we should be twice a week. I don't know, we like, or maybe even if it's like every day, if every day you want, a little bit of chocolate at the end of the day, you guys should be able to do that. So, it's hard to undo some of the things that we've been taught and told over the years, but I believe that no food is inherently bad for us. It's the amount of it that we have, right? So if I want a donut every once in a while, I can have a donut. Now, should I have 3 donuts every day? Probably not, right? It's not the one donut. It's not the donut, it's the amount of the donuts. So anyways, we can always talk about that. Oh, and Carrie says it removes decision fatigue too by planning ahead. Yes, that is actually something I wanted to talk about at one point, but sometimes you just get tired of deciding and just like it's almost like stressful, right? And so, and then when things are planned out, you just know what to expect and what's going to happen. And so, yes, I completely agree with that because I get tired of thinking about things sometimes too. So when I know if I've got things prepped or planned or like laid out in my in my kitchen and in my meal prep and stuff, then it totally removes decision fatigue. Okay, I'm going to start coughing, so I'm going to let you guys go. Um, Hang on. Okay, I'm really gonna start coughing. Okay, I'll see you guys in the chat. I will give you guys a little bit more information on how I want you guys to log everything, not log, report your points, and then we'll go from there. Okay? So, yep, you guys all have a good night. Thanks for hopping on here too. I appreciate it. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.